Landscape Art Part 2.
The magic in us, just a touch of pixie dust.
Landscape art is art that shows things that you would find on the land. We have our mountains, our sky, and then we have the water and maybe some grass below. For today's lesson, you'll need your landscape art from part 1, a pencil, you'll need an eraser, some tissue. Now there's another supply you'll need. Notice we didn't do anything to the mountains in the foreground. That's the mountains in the very front. We left them blank. We want to give them texture like the other mountains. Texture is the way something looks and feels. So we want to create the texture of a mountain, which is rocky and hard and bumpy. You could take some time to look around your house and find some things that might have that kind of texture, that rocky, bumpy texture. I found a couple of things in my home, and I'm going to do a rubbing. In order to do the rubbing, you need to place your paper over the object that you found, and then use the side of your pencil just as we did in the shading and press down and go across the paper until you see an imprint of the object that is underneath the paper. I always make sure the tip of my pencil is very sharp when I'm doing my rubbings. I think I've tested out enough materials, and I'm going to choose my favorite one to be the texture for my mountains. I'm just going to do a rubbing in the mountains that were in the foreground because they were blank and I want to add texture to them. Now it's time to add a lake. I make half a circle underneath the mountains, and then I shade inside of the half circle to represent the water. Now that we have our shading for our water, let's take a little tissue, scrunch it up, and then glide the tissue right over it just to smooth it out and to blend it so it has a different texture than our mountains. And it's going to be a very similar texture to the sky. Here's where the eraser comes in handy. Let's make some waves in the water using our eraser. Let's start to add some grass. For the grass, it's going to be quite a windy day, and this is nature, so nobody's mowed the lawn. So the grass grows tall, sometimes it's short because some of the grass is still growing, but a lot of it is growing way out of control. It's wild grass. What about a tree? I think I might want to have a picnic under a tree. I'm going to put 2 trees on the side of my picture. If you want to do it with me, that would be great. Let's make 2 lines going straight up. You see? That's going to be the trunk of our tree. Let's color it in dark. It has to be in front of the mountains and the lake, so we do not want them to show through the trunk of the tree. Now that we have the trunk, let's put on some branches. Let's start with some long curly branches because branches don't usually grow too straight. They kind of curve and twist. Look how long they are. Now I'm going to add 1 curvy one in the middle too. So now I have 3 big branches. Notice how dark I'm coloring it in. Those are going to be my biggest branches. The other branches that I add are going to be a lot smaller. Oh, but we're not finished. We're going to add even smaller branches on the branches that we just created. Let's practice some symmetry by adding another tree on the other side. And we're going to do it the same way. We're going to start with our tree trunk. We're going to make 2 lines that are going kind of straight up. Notice how mines are bigger at the bottom because trees are bigger at the bottom, and then as they get taller, they get a little thinner. Now, I want to make sure that I color that in nice and dark. I'm going to fill in my white spaces with some more grass and rocks.
Mr. Wizard.
Yes, what is it?
Can you turn my sister into a lizard?
No. The last things I want to add is the moon and maybe some reflections of the moon in the water. In order to add the moon, let me draw a circle shape behind the mountains. You see that? That's the moon popping up from behind the mountains. Then I'm going to erase everything inside of that little circle that I drew. I have to erase that sky so that the moon can shine through. There's my moon. I'm going to just darken in the mountains. The moon is popping up from behind them. And I want to put a little bit of moon reflections in the water. I erase some straight lines just to look like it's a little bit of the reflection from the moon. Oh, and maybe a little bit of a reflection from the mountain in the water. So I'm going to do some shading techniques again. I'm just going to make some lines just going straight down. Look at that. Using the side of my pencil. And I'm trying to make the shape of the mountain reflected in the water below it. How am I doing? Then I'm going to smudge it a bit again, just to make it blend. Add a little bit of more of the details from the moon. There's my landscape art for today. All right, I'll see you next time, wizards. Bye-bye.